Away from that, the researcher at the University of Ghana, Dr. Jerry Joe Harrison, has developed a formula that will be a major contributor to the fight against the HIV epidemic. The research that birthed the findings looked at the molecular structure of HIV polyprotein, a key protein that helps the HIV virus to multiply and propagate. With the molecular structure of this important protein unraveled, Dr. Harrison says the treatment of HIV has been giving a major boost. Ernest Menova Health Desk has been speaking to him.
Over the years, what we know is that the virus uses very crafty methods by one having a genome that has overlaps in there so that it can maintain a very small size. But one thing that we also observed is that for bigger animals and all that, we make each protein that we need for every process. But these viruses make these proteins as a long block. Then they chop them into smaller pieces in a process we call maturation.
Okay.
This is very unique to viruses, the polyprotein concept. And so the polyprotein presents a unique avenue for targeting the virus, since there are no equivalents within the cells of the eukaryotes that they infect.
Okay.
And for the past 40 years, we really didn't have any grasp of how these polyproteins look like and whether they're even structured in the first place. And so what me and my team have been doing over the past 6-7 years is...
Oh, that's how long it took you to come out with this research?
Oh yes, it's going down there and developing new tools and technologies that allowed us to be able to visualize the three-dimensional structure of the enzymes that are used by the virus before they become fully active and ready to go. They come together as a polyprotein, and we wanted to see how they look like. And so that's what the work that was published was about.
Okay, so if I understand what you're saying, you're trying to deal with the rapid reproduction or maturation of the virus such that you're able to deal with it at its initial stages so that it doesn't reproduce itself quickly and then get to affect the person infected.
Yes, so we know that the virus has to be inserted into the host genome, and then from there new viruses are made. And the new viruses comprise protein and nucleic acid complexes.
Okay.
And so when the virus is assembled, the virus has to mature. And that maturation involves a protein Caesar that goes about cutting the proteins at specific places in that process.
Okay.
What we've now found is that in the initial stages before this maturation happens, the proteins look a certain way. And what we can do now is to develop drugs that can specifically stop this processing from happening.
Okay.
And we can stop that, the virus is completely dead. And the optimism is that because the number of proteins in this complex are so small, even if we're able to develop new drugs, we are going to need small doses because there are not many of these available.
Right.
And that means that potential side effects, toxicities are going to be much less. That is going to potentially improve compliance, and things like that. So we are really optimistic that now that we know how these enzymes look like, as somebody would say, in their immature stage, then we can target this immature stage of the life cycle and then develop inhibitors that will be able to specifically stop this maturation process, which is required for the virus to be able to infect new cells.
Right. And it's safe to say that at this point, the work that you have done provides basis to be able to deal with this at a very early stage, reduce the implications that, HIV positive patients could be more healthier,
absolutely,
could live much longer than we're seeing today.
Like everybody else. And the good thing about reducing the viral load below a certain point is that you can't even transmit it.
Right.
Okay. So then, if we have more effective drugs, then even in the absence of a cure, we could still get the disease eradicated, because now, if you can't transmit it, then over time, all those populations that have it will die off, and then we have a brand new population that doesn't have the virus.
Dr. Harrison also expressed concern about the latest report of the AIDS Commission that reviewed more than 23,000 new cases were recorded for the first half of this year. He's urging government and the AIDS Commission to leverage on his research in the fight against the epidemic.
Look, as a country, we have to become serious about some of these challenges. Procurement processes alone are just enough to put off any researcher. You can't believe that you can have a grant for 1 year and for more than 6 months you haven't been able to procure anything because there's one office, they have to go to another office, to another office, because there are laws.
You're talking about the procurement authority or the procurement laws?
The procurement laws, the people that are within the universities and research institutions, people are interpreting the procurement laws and are working with the procurement laws. But I believe strongly that these were not a thing that were anticipated when they were framing the procurement law. But they become integral part of our laws, and so people have to apply it as it is. I don't have any doubt in my mind that if we make just for research things duty-free and tax-free, and that people can actually buy from the best vendor that is out there, we absolutely can increase our research inflows by 200% in a couple of years.
Right. I feel the frustration. Hopefully somebody will be listening and would move in that direction. But back to the Ghana AIDS Commission and of course the policymakers. What can they do with your research, and what also should we be doing to help the campaign, the fight against HIV?
Thank you. I think that at the end of the day, we are working towards one goal, and that is eradicating HIV from our continent. Unfortunately, we are the worst struck. And so the AIDS Commission can be an advocate for research, because at the end of the day, we need to be contributing to the fight, either it's in the form of diagnostics or whatever form it is. But I think at this stage, being able to advocate for government to come to the aid of people who are doing research, within that area can absolutely be critical. But I also believe that in the age of social media and all that, we should continue with the campaign for people to be cautious. The use of protection is absolutely crucial if we are going to be able to reduce the number of infections that we have. What we shouldn't lose sight of is that there are many people who are positive and don't even know. So screening is something that we should probably embark on a large scale and try to get everybody tested, so that those who are positive can be given the antiretroviral medications. That way they can live healthy and they don't have to be able to even, at some point, they may not even be able to transmit to their partner.